Hey everybody, I'm Ben. I'm very excited to host the session on dealing with feeling overwhelmed as a freelancer and talking about various mental health challenges that you may experience.
Hey guys, I'm Victoria. We're really excited for this session. We want to share some tips and the journey we've gone through when feeling overwhelmed, and we hope you like it. Let's get to it.
That's it, sweet.
First, I want to do a disclaimer. We want to do a disclaimer. This is not a medical advice. Everything we're going to share here in this session is from our personal experience, from our personal life. We're not experts in the topic, but we really want to share how we go through that, what has happened to us, how what steps we take when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel a little bit frustrated. So we want to share more about our personal experience. And I want you to meet Ben. So I met Ben months ago. He was one of our community guests when we were doing Community Day live on YouTube. And Ben, if you don't know him yet, I'm gonna present him a little bit more. And if I miss something, Ben, you can add it to my presentation. So Ben is a Webflow developer and he's a Webflow designer. He's originally from Poland, but right now he's been nomading in a lot of different places. He's going to Portugal, Ireland, and a lot of different places. He's missing to come to Mexico, but he's going worldwide nomading. And right now he has come back to his hometown to Poland. Some of the things Ben likes to do, he loves making friends. You will see if you haven't met him right now. He's super easygoing. He loves great food, music, nature, traveling. Of course, he loves Webflow and many different things. Did I miss anything, Ben, that you want to add to your presentation?
No, Mexico is definitely on the list. Um, yeah, hello everybody. I'm excited to be here and to talk about this. This is important stuff, and I think like the past year or two in my life has been like filled with so many like challenging stuff in that area that I'm excited to share bits and pieces today.
Yeah, amazing. And I want to present a little bit more about myself. Who am I? I'm part of Finsweet. I'm kind of community and HR. I'm originally from Mexico and I live in Mexico. Not that much originality like Ben that it's nomading. That is something I also want to do. But I don't know why I haven't moved forward with that plan. But that's something I also want to do, to travel another places of the world. What I like to do, I'm always inspired to help others in any way I can. I love meeting new people too and getting to know their stories. I always feel like everyone is a whole new world with different knowledge. So it's amazing to get to know people more in deep and not just a casual conversation. And I love reading, nature, music, Disney, animals, and more stuff. Now, how did we got inspired with this episode? Well, as I shared before, we've done mental health episodes before, like a year ago. And I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw this tweet from Ben that said, daily reminder, if you're starting out with Webflow or web design and you feel overwhelmed, it's normal. Stay the course, don't freak out, and you'll be all right. My DAs are open if you need any tips and positivity. And this was something that happened to me in the beginning. And we will talk more about that. But I read it and I was like, okay, I think a lot of people need to listen to this and not just me or not just read it. Maybe listen more to our experience. So, Ben, share with us a little bit, why did you decide to do this episode? When I messaged you on Twitter, like, hey, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
I have a strong feeling that we don't talk about that enough, but it affects every person probably in this space in different ways. But I think it affects people who are at the beginning of the journey. It affects people who are a few years into it. It affects people who are, senior professionals with like 10 years of experience. Everybody has challenges connected to like work, mental health, and mingling work with, life, because you can't just like isolate part of your life from other parts of your life this way. So I just feel like there is just not enough talk in this space about this, but it affects everybody. And I feel that the fact that you saw this tweet and then you instantly thought about the episode just shows that, you know, it's a mutual feeling that we all have.
Yeah, totally. Because it's also not easy to talk about all of this stuff. So it's really cool to start normalizing and to start doing this type of sessions and conversations. So I want to start with you telling us more about your story, your journey, Ben. So your story, some challenges. So how has this year been to you, focusing like on the mental health and your projects, work, and everything?
Okay, it's such a life question, isn't it? So so yeah, I would say that from the beginning of my IT career, which was like 3.5, I think, years ago now, it's all been challenging in different ways, in different periods. But first, I had like my first biggest challenge, which was like transitioning from being a lawyer to IT. And that was filled with uncertainties, feeling overwhelmed, not knowing what to learn, not knowing how to prioritize what to learn, trying to get first jobs, getting rejected from first jobs, and job applications and stuff like that. Having a lot of self-doubt if I'm going to make it or not. And just, you know, stuff that all of us go through when we want to start something new, and that's something new is big. And that's just how it is. Then I had like series of challenges with moving from employment to freelance, and that also is just a life lesson in itself, being a freelancer. And then also I had like some challenges around like life stuff, work-life balance. I moved out from Poland a year and a half ago, and then I moved to Ireland. I spent a year in Ireland, and after a year in Ireland, I actually moved out of Ireland and I started digital nomading. So yeah, so there have been like a lot of challenges, and I would say that I don't think we can disconnect work challenges from life challenges. Yeah, it's all connected.
It's all connected. Even if it's like when they have said to me a lot of time, like when you stop working, try to disconnect and don't think about it. And I'm like, well, it's more easy said than done. So I totally agree with that with you. It's not easy. And I really empathize on the side where you say when you're starting to apply for jobs, when you're starting to look at like where you're going to start and then being rejected or even not receiving a response from the HR person or from the person where you talk about, like not even a next step or being rejected, you just don't receive an answer. That also feels really overwhelming. So I've also gone through that, different stuff. And as you said, when you start your career, of course you have high hopes, high expectations, and when it's not getting how you want it to, there's when you start to feel frustrated, right?
Yes, and it can be very easily taken personally, and it can feel like soul crushing. I remember it took me 8 months from the point that I felt like I'm good enough to have like my first intern job in IT to actually getting that job. So it took me 8 months of like active applying and being, you know, like just ghosted or rejected many times. And yeah, it's hard to not feel self-doubts at this point. But I think like in any case, in any point of your career that you are, it's good to not take things personally, and it's good to like understand where you are and don't expect too much of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. But the decision of moving from your law career to web development of Webflow, how was it? How was that decision? It was like the best one, right?
Oh yeah, I didn't regret it for a split second. But yeah, the decision was simple. I just felt like I'm gonna be unhappy continuing this career. So on a base level, you just, we have one life, we can't spend it unhappy. So even if it means big steps that are hard to take, it's still worth it. So
And now we're moving to how to detect you feeling overwhelmed. So before we start talking about how do we detect when we're feeling overwhelmed, let's share a story of when do we felt super overwhelmed. And I can start with that. So when I first joined Webflow and to understand all of this industry, I come from a background of HR and marketing that it's also nothing related to Webflow. I didn't know how the internet worked that much, like Webflow sites, how it's all connected. So when I started knowing nothing, it was super overwhelming because, of course, when I joined Finsweet and then I saw Twitter, I saw everyone was like super experts. Everyone knew everything they were talking about. Everyone were like, yeah, this is how you do this is how you do. They know what they were talking about. And I was like, I don't understand a thing. I don't understand what they're saying. How does it work? How would I will do it? So I started to feel super overwhelmed because I was like, I want to know all of that. But of course, to get to that point, you need to go step by step and to study and to learn and to practice. And you have to fail and then go back again and everything. But at that moment, I was feeling super overwhelmed. That's what happened to me. Of course, I'm going to share what I did after. I had to take a step back because I was like, I need to calm down because it was months where I was studying and like I have to do it. And instead of me being completely focused and being open to learning, there was like something blocking me. And that was like the stress of I have to go faster. I have to learn faster instead of calmly learning and listening to all the things I was being taught to learn more about Webflow. Was this experience also similar to you, Ben?
Yeah, in a way, yes. I mean, I was feeling very uncomfortable with the pace that I was developing because, like, even if you go fast, then there's like an endless amount of knowledge that you can acquire, and then there's just it feels like it's never enough time for it. The farther you go in your career, the less time you have to actually like learn new things. So this is definitely challenging. And I think like we will be talking about, practical steps on like what you can do when you feel overwhelmed, how to actually deal with that. For now, I would say you need to have like a lot of self-love and compassion to go through it. And then, yeah, it's important to focus on one thing at a time and to prioritize what you do and to actually understand why you want to do what you want to do. I think if you have your whys in the right place, then it's instantly easier to not expect too much from yourself. So yeah, getting the whys right is important. Right?
Yeah, that's what gives you that drive. That's what gives you to keep pushing, even through the difficult times, right?
Yeah, it gives you a sense of direction. I don't, for example, like I'm not a goal person. Like I don't do any goals, any task lists, any, I don't know, big plans for next year. Like I do not do anything like this. But then I always have a sense of direction. And anytime like I feel like I don't know my direction anymore or I feel lost, then I need a time to reconnect with myself and find my direction again. So I don't think that putting like specific goals is super important, but I think that knowing the direction you're going and knowing why is super important.
Now, moving forward to how to detect you're feeling overwhelmed. So how do you detect it, Ben? How do you know, like, okay, I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. I don't want to get to a burnout. How do you feel that you're starting with all of this overwhelmed feeling?
Yeah, I think there is like a primal biological thing about this. It's like your body can tell. So I would say like the first thing is your mood and your body will just tell. So suddenly you will become, I would say, well, less focused and more tired in a way that you're not normally tired this way. So this will be different tired. And then chaos in the head, I would say. Yeah. So your head becomes full of blur. Let's bring the design terminology into this. So yeah, so everything is getting blurry, and you feel like it's too much stuff, and it adds to the blur. So so yeah, I think like by now I got pretty good at noticing being overwhelmed pretty early. But yeah, I would say that the prime thing is just like listening to your body and to how you feel. Usually your body will indicate you that you are overwhelmed, I think.
Yeah.
How is it for you?
Yeah, totally. But it's sometimes it's difficult to listen to your body, because also for me, it happens when I start to feel overwhelmed. I feel like I can't think clearly, like you're saying, like blurring the mind. I feel like I'm stuck because when I feel overwhelmed, I get a rush of starting to work more and to finish all the things, but I don't have clearly what task is next. So it's like I can think clearly, I feel blurred. I wanted to do everything all in once in one moment, and that is not efficient because you don't advance, you don't move forward. You're like stuck in that moment. And some of other symptoms that I wrote them here in the presentation that I have felt also is when you start to feel like you feel more irritated than normal, or you feel like angry, frustrated, you're impatient, or it can be nervous to other people. And what we're saying right now, the thoughts are racing and you can switch them off because you're like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. You're like thinking of all the different tasks or different work you have. Don't think clearly, like Ben is saying, the mind is blurred, and you can feel stuck with work and don't know what to do next. So this totally also happens to me, and we're gonna share what do we do, what are our solutions when we feel this way. This is I will say totally normal. I feel like everyone has gone through a moment of overwhelmed. So if you have felt this way, don't feel bad with yourself. That's normal. We all go through that. And I also think that when we go through overwhelm, it's a moment of growing in work, growing in time management, in thinking, in organization, and everything. So what about, let's move forward. So what do we do when we're feeling overwhelmed, Ben?
First of all, I think you need to start with the point of just acknowledging your feelings, because it is obviously, it will be uncomfortable. Like nobody wants to feel overwhelmed, and nobody wants to feel stressed, and nobody wants to feel the pressure and tension in the body and all of that stuff. But then if you try to judge yourself from that feelings, that's not the helpful way to deal with that. It's gonna be more difficult to solve it if you're not willing to accept that, okay, I feel very bad right now, and this is not what I want, but this is what it is. Yeah. And this is the step one. And then the step two, I think very important and very hard to do, getting distance from the situation. Because why is it hard to do? Because most of the time when we feel overwhelmed because there are too many things. So if there are too many things, then your natural tendency is to just like try to do them all. And then, you try to do them all and do them all and do them all. And if you try to do them all, it's usually impossible to get the distance. So what I did, I think it was 3 months ago, I absolutely needed 2 weeks off for my mental health, because I had a lot of stuff to think through. And then it wasn't the best moment project-wise to do it. It wasn't, it was challenging financially to do it. So it's, it is a big trade-off to do it. But then like I thought, okay, this is crucial for me. I need to do this for myself. And then I let my colleagues know that, hey, I'm going through this and this in my life. And then I just need a mental health break. And, I was a bit okay with like figuring out the exact dates. But the thing is that at some point, I think you just need to prioritize it. It can't be more important than what you're overwhelmed with, because you won't be able to deal with that. So I would say get the distance, and the distance helps to remove the blur from your head. And then the third point, also helpful in removing the blur, I write. So I write my thoughts to get clarity. So there is a very healthy thing. It is a very healthy thing to put whatever you have in your mind in paper. It brings you clarity, and usually like you can spot something that you maybe don't spot without writing. So to me, it's very helpful. And then fourth and final point, learning, because like I think that it's exactly as you said, Victoria, feeling overwhelmed is the opportunity to grow. But in order to grow, you need to take a lesson from it. So I always think, okay, what lesson can I take from it? How can I adjust for the future?
Totally. And those steps are really similar to mine. So what I do first when I feel overwhelmed, I write a to-do list and thoughts. As I said before, sometimes I feel stuck and don't know what to do next. So I write everything in a paper. I try to write everything, all the to-do list of what I have to do, and all of my thoughts. And that helps me to feel a little bit more clear, because that helps me to try to stop thinking about it, because I know I have it on a paper and I won't forget all the tasks and the works I need to do. So for me, write on a paper, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to disconnect, get distracted, don't think about it, and I can come back later because everything is on a paper, so I won't forget. So to me, that gives me like a peace of mind of knowing that I can come back with a mind a little bit more clear. So that's what I do. I write a to-do list and thoughts. To me, I've always said that communication is a key. So I like to talk to someone about it. So sometimes I talk to my partner, sometimes I talk with someone in the team. So you can talk about it and just share your feelings, how you're feeling, frustrated, overwhelmed. So always talking and listening to yourselves also, it's a way of readapting, and hearing yourself is a way of knowing what's going on and what to do next. I try to take a break, like Ben is saying, to get a distance from the situation, break in a different ways, sometimes to read, sometimes to go for a walk with my dog, sometimes to watch a movie, an episode of a TV show or something like that, something that gets you distracted. And be kind to me. And this is the step that I think it's the most important one. And it's the one I've had more trouble when I want to learn about the situation. It's be kind to me and don't auto-sabotage me. Because auto-sabotage is something that I've heard that a lot of people have felt and have done. And that is when you start to punish yourself. Like, why are you feeling overwhelmed? Like, why are you frustrated? Why are you like this? Why are you not moving forward? Why are you not working? Why are you not doing the things you're supposed to do? And you start like auto asking you why you're not doing what you're supposed to, instead of being kind to yourself. Like, it's okay, you're feeling this way. Take a deep breath, calm, and come back, instead of pushing you more to the limit. So I don't know if this has happened to you before, Ben. Have you felt like that auto-sabotage? I think that's a really important topic.
Oh yeah, many times. I think if you're naturally somebody ambitious, then you often have a tendency to judge yourself and to just like expect a bit too much. So then if you expect a bit too much, then it's very easy to, start saying to yourself that you're not enough, or you're not doing, you're not doing good enough, you're not doing it, fast enough, or whatever that may be. I definitely experienced this many times. I still experience it every now and then. But yeah, I'm working on like being more compassionate towards myself. And also like the fact that helped me, I think, is for example, like I have an image in my mind that I want to be, a 9 out of 10 at what I do. I don't need to be the best, don't need to be perfect, but I need to be very good in my head.
Mhm.
And then I have a clear picture of what's that 9 in my head. But the thing is that my 7 can be somebody else's 9. So that 9 is only an image in my head. So it's not it's not a reality. So yeah, I think it's very important to just, not be too strict.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine yourself. You can imagine like what you say to yourself. Would you say it to your best friend who's having a hard time?
Mhm.
And if the answer is no, then you're probably too strict with yourself.
That's true. That's true because no one is listening. It's just your mind. So you can be a little bit more harsh to yourself. So as Ben is saying, just think and try to be kind to yourself because after feeling overwhelmed, you can start to get a lot of self-doubt about yourself and to start to feel a little bit more insecure in what you're doing, in your projects, in your plans. I don't know, with clients, with your current event, with different things. So auto-sabotage also leads to self-doubt, and that makes you feel more insecure. So one thing leads to the other one, and the best way to stop it is that to try to be kind to yourself, try to talk to yourself the best way possible, and if you're not being able to do it, just get distracted. Don't think about the problem. If you're not gonna say something nice to yourself, try to just get distracted, do something else, keep your mind in something else, and when you're feeling better, you can come back. And I just want to repeat what we said before, that it's normal. It's normal having self-doubt, self-doubts. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. This is something I think we all have gone through.
I still feel overwhelmed, like probably almost every day. In a way, like sometimes it's light overwhelm, sometimes it's big overwhelm. But I think also the fact that we're mostly in IT, it doesn't help because IT moves way faster than virtually any other industry.
Yeah.
So it adds to it. But the thing is that I used to, like in the past, I used to freak out about this. So I used to be like, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and now I'm all like, yeah, I'm feeling overwhelmed, So
Yeah.
energy also does matter. I would also, like be taking the steps if I'm feeling like badly overwhelmed, then I would do probably a combination of these things that we talked about. But there is a sense of calm acceptance about just feeling overwhelmed and not being perfect now. And I think like it took a lot of time, it took a lot of stress for me to get to that point. But yeah, now I feel like I'm not making it harder for myself this way.
Yeah. And that's good to start to take the situation more calm, more like, well, it's happening. Let's see what we can do. Now, another important point, don't compare yourself. And this applies to everything. Reasons to feel overwhelmed are personal. Something for me can be too much and can make me feel overwhelmed. And that same reason for someone else can be something easy. Something like, why are you feeling overwhelmed about that? So just hear to yourself. Don't compare yourself. Don't compare your work. Don't compare your progress. Don't compare if that's a good reason to feeling overwhelmed or not. It's not the same to everyone. And this is also a message to have more empathy with other people that are feeling overwhelmed. And don't say other people like, that's not a reason to feel overwhelmed, or that's not a reason to feel down, or something like that.
Yeah, this is a big one for me. This is a big one for me. So Especially, I think if you're a designer, this hits hard because you're a designer, then you want to be surrounded by good work because you need to get inspired and then you learn from good designs. So there's a constant feeling that everybody's just a better designer than yourself because what do you feed yourself with today? You feed yourself with great designs from people who are more experienced than you, probably. So this feeling is always there. And then, I think it's best to avoid comparing at all. If you do need to compare, then I would say compare yourself to yourself from the past, or yourself from a month ago, or from 6 months ago, or from 2 years ago, or from 8 years ago, but to yourself. Everybody has a different journey, and I would say like shortcuts are illusionary. So we often just see a piece of something on social media, but we don't see the journey that led to it because of how social media works. But yeah, it's just so important, honestly. You can't expect to be somebody who has, let's say, 2 years of experience to be in a place with somebody who has 20 years of experience. And a lot of people do it daily in their minds, me included. I do it rarely now, but that was the norm for a while. So this is the big one.
And just to, as I will share before, self-doubt, like the exact definition, it's a feeling of having no confidence in your abilities and decisions. So as Ben and I were saying, is a part of compare yourself to yourself, or of where you were 1 month ago, where you were 1 year ago, and to see all the advance and all the progress you have done. Because it's easy to see what it's missing, but it's not easy to see what you have accomplished. So all the small wins and the little wins are really important. So we have to keep our mind in that too.
Let me give you a quick tip here. Because and I also want to do this because I haven't done this yet, but I had this idea a while ago. It's connected with design, but can be honestly with any space. I had the idea to put every piece of design that I did for the last 3 years in one Figma file, call it you can call it however you want, but let's call it the self-doubt remedy file, and then have it like pinned somewhere, or just have it with you in your Figma, and then like every now and then just look at it, like put like different pieces of your work in one place chronologically, and then like close to each other, and then you'll see 99% of the times probably you're gonna see progress like this. But then we never spend the time actually like seeing this, because you have, this stuff here, this stuff there. You just like, you don't have the time for it. It's like going through photos from the last, X years. We all like going through these photos, but we never spend time doing it.
Totally.
Or on a big occasion or something like this. So anyway, that's just a little something that I think may be helpful here.
To see that will be awesome to do something like that. And I've also heard that it's similar to a tip you're sharing. Some people have their journal of work from when they started to where they are right now. And that journal, it's really similar to what you're saying. I like your idea that it's more visual, but this one is also all the words that you can see how you were feeling and how you were doing in that moment, and how for some months ago, some years after, how you're doing. So that's really cool to start to have your history, and that's something I have to start. That's something I would love to have.
Also a great idea. I love it.
So what can we learn to do when feeling overwhelmed? I'm going to start with this one. To me, it's to understand what I'm feeling overwhelmed. because if you feel overwhelmed and don't know why, your thoughts gonna keep running. So to me, it's like I need to understand why I'm feeling that this way, because understanding helps you to take action. So I need to understand first. Then I would like to accept the feeling. Like we said, don't get angry or feel guilty for feeling overwhelmed. Just accept how you're feeling in the moment. Take time to recover and to feel good again. Take time to recharge, and then you can take action. Take action can mean different things. You can prioritize tasks and responsibilities. You can also, if you have a team or if you work with someone, you can delegate work to work together. Or if not, delegate, if you're working by yourself, delegate the work in different days, not try to do everything in one. And of course, after that, learn from it, like Ben is gonna share. Take action, try to get distracted so you can come on stronger, so you can keep moving in your work. And so the next time that you feel overwhelmed, you will already know how to act. That's what I usually do. Of course, that it took me time to start to understand and to start to accept. It's not like the first time I felt overwhelmed, like, okay, everything good. Now I know how I feel. I accept it. Now I'm more calm. Of course not. It took some time to build these steps for me to see what I need to do when I feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's not a magic button, isn't it?
No.
Gone.
Yeah, you have to be overwhelmed a few times so you can figure out your steps.
Yeah, it's true. But I would say that the more you experience it, the less intense your feelings gonna be, probably. Like if you do take care of yourself and learn from it, then the next time it happens, it will still be uncomfortable, but it would be probably slightly less uncomfortable. And then the longer you're doing it, you're, well, increasing your comfort zone for being uncomfortable. And I think because we had almost virtually the same points, just in different order. But I would say that, first of all, understanding part is very important, because as you said, it leads to action. And it leads to this sense of direction that I was talking about, that I think you need to have in your head. And then, yeah, I would say that this is just very, very important to start from the point that, okay, what I need to do and why, and really spend time on your whys. And then I always try to think of what am I not doing when I do something. So for example, if I have an extra amount of time, I can spend this extra amount of time on many things. Let's say I have, I don't know, 1 day per week suddenly to spend on something, right? If I do a side project, for example, and spend that day on it, then what am I saying no to? I'm saying no to doing this and this and this and this and this. So that helps you to be more intentional about what you spend your time on. And I think it's helpful to do that little bit of calculation in your head of okay, putting my effort into something means that I don't put this effort into 20 other things. So that's something I put my effort in better be important.
Yeah, totally. And I really want to move forward to the meta rule that you shared with me. That is something that I've never heard before, and I really liked it when you shared with me. So let me pass it on to the first one so you can share with everyone who's listening your meta rule.
Okay, so this is a completely made up term, by the way. I remember coming up with this. I was on a plane, and then every time I'm on a plane, I have just some deep thoughts, because I'm not distracted by anything. My phone is in the airplane mode. So usually that's my thinking time.
Yeah. Moment of inspiration.
Yes. Yes. So so I was actually like brainstorming on like how to talk and what to talk about like during this session. And then like I had one of these aha moments where you're like, okay, okay. So we connect the dots. So I would say that the meta rule, and this is a first of a few. So the meta rule is you need to know what you want, and this is again coming to being directional. So a lot of frustrations, I think, comes from either not knowing what you want or doing what you don't want to do. And it sounds very simple, and it is a simple concept, but I think like a lot of us just don't have enough clarity on what we want.
Yeah.
So by spending time on discovering what you want, you decrease your frustration, you increase your sense of direction, and then it's easier for you to like feel in tune with yourself. And it's easier for you to prioritize, because if you know what you want and you know what you don't want, it's also more clarity in your head, easier to prioritize, and just easier to make your choices. Basically, that's what I would say.
Totally.
And then there is a meta rule to that. You need to know who you are, and now we are getting philosophical. But knowing what you want usually comes from who you are. And then you can either know who you are or not know who you are. Or in most cases, you can kind of know who you are. So, so I would say that if you really know who you are, then it's going to be easier to come up with what you want. And why? Because this part will give you your whys. The first part, the meta rule, knowing what you want, will give you your what. This will give you your why. And then if you have your why, again, coming back to the beginning, if you have your whys in place, then again, easier to accept, easier to feel, comfortable with yourself, and easier to have that sense of direction. So I would say, even if you spend the time, like regardless of whether it's on therapy or not on therapy, but if you do spend your time in discovering like who you are as a person and why, and what are your values and what do you want to do in your life, then it's gonna help you like in all areas of your life, honestly. Even if you don't see it immediately, I would say.
Totally. I agree with you. It's super important to look for a way to connect to ourselves, to get to know us, to get to understand what we want. So going to the last part of meta rule.
Yeah. And this is a surprise part. So this is forever evolving, this stuff. So who you are and what you want will change over time. And this is challenging, because sometimes it may feel like you have all your stuff sorted, you have clarity, you know who you are, you know what you want, and suddenly, boom, change. Something happened, you grew, or you had some event in your life, something unexpected. A lot of things can happen. But you can usually see, like, if you like go back, in your mind through your past life, usually if you grow as a person, this stuff already changed a few times. So, and it will change. Like, we are now here in this moment of time, in this place, and we can have less or more clarity on this stuff. But even if we had like a perfect clarity, and we reached like the perfection state where we just like never overwhelmed, fully happy, every day is perfect.
Yeah.
Won't happen. But even if we reach that state, this is still a moment in time, and then this will evolve. So I would say it's important to just, first of all, like, stay in tune with yourself and with your feelings and be good at like spotting when you're feeling overwhelmed. And then it's good to, I think, like carve out some time every now and then to just, do a little bit of checkup with yourself, little bit of discovery, what's there inside and why. Because this will change.
Yeah, do like a recap or a follow-up after a few time. And yeah, as you're saying, it will change over time. And like the clear example is you were studying law and then you moved to Webflow. So things will change over time and you have to adapt. You have to listen to yourself. You have to learn what you want. And this is to have your moments with yourself, to calm down and to listen. And I also want to share one of the best advices that has helped me. And honestly, I found this advice by coincidence. I was scrolling and then it came to me a video of a psychologist that was talking about this. And she was sharing that emotions only last 90 seconds. And this is like the best advice I have been given, because it says, this is not a psychologist I'm talking about, but I found this definition on the internet to explain a little bit more what it means. But it means that when we have a feeling, it creates like a chemical process in our body. But after 90 seconds, that chemical process goes away. But you keep feeling that way because of your thoughts. So you get involved in that feeling. You get involved in that situation that you keep thinking, and you're making your body keep feeling stressed, keep feeling sad, keep feeling annoyed, angry, all of those emotions. But actually, your body doesn't have that emotion anymore. That only lasted 90 seconds. It's you thinking about that problem. Which, when I heard that, I was like, that's impressive, because I've been, I don't know, I've been frustrated for 1 hour, or I've been sad like the whole day, or it had lasted like way longer than 90 seconds to me. So I was like, why is it happening? So now when I get like these feelings, I try to remind myself that, like, okay, it was not, of course, I'm not with my watch, but I'm like, okay, it has happened. It has more than 90 seconds. So why am I still feeling this way? Let me try to change the way I'm thinking. So I try to change the way I'm thinking. I try to get distracted and everything. And I have a tip that it will sound really silly for a lot of people, but it really helps me. And I've heard that your brain doesn't know that much if, when you say something, doesn't know if it's true or not. Like, your brain absorbs like the facts. So for example, if you're feeling sad or angry or something, and you see yourself in a mirror and you smile, even if you're not feeling happy in the moment, you will instantly start to feel better. And that seriously helps me a lot. And this is a super personal tip. Maybe it will sound silly to someone, but if it helps someone, just give it a try. The next time you're feeling frustrated, sad, angry, or anything like that, just smile to yourself, even if you laugh about it when doing it, and you will start to feel better. That is like a great tip I wanted to share with all of you.
I love this tip. I should start doing it, honestly. But yeah, I think I had a similar discovery recently. So I had like so again, short tip, but I had like a very, very bad day, like very bad. Like I felt terrible, like the whole day. You already smile all the time, Ben. Thank you. But yeah, this day I wasn't smiling a lot, believe it or not. So yeah, had a very bad day. And it's just like everything felt terrible that day. And then I had a like brief conversation with my friend, and she came and she shared that, oh, I really feel like a chocolate today. And she shared it like, I think like 2 times. So so then, like, I was doing my groceries, and then I wanted a chocolate as well. I just bought the chocolate for her as well, right? And then, like, she was so happy to see that chocolate, which is like a small gesture, small thing. But like, although I felt very bad that day, I still made somebody else's day better. And that in turn completely changed my mood. Like, from a worst day in a month, it changed like this to something enjoyable. Just out of the, so I guess like the lesson for me from this was that, like, even if you have a bad day, you can still like put the focus maybe like out of focusing on yourself only, and then this can help. And this can help a lot. Like the change was drastic that day. So
That's amazing. That's amazing to hear. Yeah, like helping others, it's an amazing feeling. Like when you know that you changed someone's lives or that you helped someone on a bad day, that's a great feeling. And closing remark, it's okay not to feel okay. So we want you to keep this in mind. It's okay not to feel okay. Give yourself some time, understand the feeling, and that will help you to move forward for the next situation, for the next day, for the next task you have, or for anything that you're gonna work on. Thank you everyone for watching. We hope you like this type of content. Please leave us a comment and a like, and I hope to see you at the next one.
thank you everybody for joining. Please remember that our DMs are open, and please remember to smile a lot at yourself at the mirror.
Thank you for joining me, Ben, in this video. See you at the next one. Bye bye.